Johnston is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and best-selling author who teaches at Syracuse University's College of Law. He is currently a columnist for Jazeeera America. And in his latest piece, he says the president actually used the State of the Union address to unveil a tax ploy designed to entrap the GOP. We asked him to explain the trap.
Well, when did you last hear leading Republicans come out against any form of tax relief? The president came up with a plan aimed squarely at middle-class Americans who pay federal income taxes, not the poor, but who pay federal income taxes that's pro-child, pro-family, pro-work, pro-education, pro-savings, and has tax simplification that the Republicans have themselves called for. And right after his speech, what did you see all the top leaders of the Republican Party do? Well, we can't have this. This is wrong. John Boehner, the House Speaker today, said that the president's plan is not in accord with what middle-class Americans want.
Well, I thought he was referring to both the pay-fors, the taxes on the wealthy to pay for it, and also things like community college, which will come with a cost. But let's suppose the Republicans go back to their natural instincts and say, hey, we love tax cuts for everybody. We will accept the middle-class tax cuts. Mr. President, you have to pay for it, though, through cuts in entitlements or cuts in government spending.
Well, my column points out there's a way for the Republicans to turn around and bite the president with this, which is introduce a bill that does everything he wants except the increased taxes on those who have very large incomes from investments, to the Ronald Reagan rate, by the way, that the president proposes, and getting rid of the stepped-up basis, which when someone dies, it's treated as if they had bought their assets on the date of their death. Any gains are wiped out. And pass that, and then put the president in a position of having to veto most of his own proposal. Of course, they run the risk that he would sign it, but they could turn this around on him. What the president was really doing, David, was setting up the debate going into the 2016 congressional and presidential election.
I % on that, and that there's an opportunity perhaps for Democrats like Hillary Clinton to embrace the populism and really put some of the Republicans in a corner. You write, though, and you've written in the past about the tax code, and most Americans feel like it's this grand document that economists love and it helps get the best out of our economy, but you point out it really doesn't. I wonder if you can explain why.
Yeah, the Internal Revenue Code is the most political law in the United States and possibly the world. Instead of being based on sound economics and the constitutional mandate to promote the general welfare, it's based largely on political favors and lobbying. Our tax code right now prints out at 5,348 pages. I'm in the process of writing a new tax code, which I call the honest tax, that will strip out roughly 5,000 of those pages. It doesn't take complications so long as everybody's income is realized when they achieve it, and we are all taxed evenly in the sense that we don't get to defer our taxes into the future. We now have a situation, David, in which many very wealthy executives and multinational corporations don't really pay taxes. They profit off their taxes by deferring them into the far distant future.
And we should point out that there are even some Democrats who are criticizing the president for not going far enough on carried interest and capital gains. Is that another example of the politics and the influence that it has over the tax code?
Yes, if you are a hedge fund manager or a private equity manager, you get paid in shares of value that you don't have to recognize for tax purposes, but you can borrow against those shares and live off that money tax-free. And the president, who's repeatedly brought this up in the past, said nothing about it today, and I think that's because he wanted to focus the political debate on the burdens of middle-class taxpayers. He said almost nothing about the poor. He only had one little provision that would really help the poor, and that's single workers at roughly the minimum wage, and he focused entirely on middle class and families in this address. I think he didn't want to get the debate off onto these issues about carried interest, which is just a huge giveaway to a narrow segment of the financial markets.